Welcome to Questions and Conversations on Leadership and Life. In today's episode, we are embracing the power of reflection as we reach the midpoint of the year. We will explore the art of looking back, using the After Action Review framework to assess what we set out to achieve, what actually happened, why things unfolded as they did, and what we can do differently going forward. Whether you are celebrating wins or facing challenges, this conversation offers practical questions and insights to help you pause, learn, and realign your goals for the months ahead. Let's dive in. Hello, Steve.
Good morning, Polly. Happy July. Today's July 1st, starting a new quarter and starting the second half of the year.
It flew by. Boom. And we are almost thinking of the end of the year right now. Yes. And because of that, we had some conversations. And we could connect that to some things we have been doing, which is always looking ahead. But today our goal is to actually look back. And you do have kind of a framework for us to look back, right, Steve?
Well, I thought we would share, and as Polly just mentioned, I think we've had a couple podcasts at the start of a quarter, maybe even one at the start of 2025, where we talked about a process to go through and kind of look at your aspirations and break those down into um, goals that you want to aim at or objectives that you want to aim at. So we spent some time on getting them launched. Today we thought we'd go, since it is the end of the quarter, ask the questions more from reviewing. And we're going to use a framework that is often referred to as an after action review. It's a process that is given credit to the US Army back in the late 80s or 90s, but it really is a way to look back. Lessons are repeated until they're learned. And it's a way to look back and assess if you were aiming for something, not in terms of a marksmanship context, but aiming for a goal, aiming for an ambition, aiming to accomplish a meaningful goal. And maybe you're not making progress on that like you wanted, or perhaps haven't even started it. It's a nice time at the end of the quarter to actually conduct this. And it really has 4 questions, and I'll just go through all 4 and then maybe add 2 or 3 more that in working with this from different points of view, a couple other questions that are helpful. Would that make sense, Polly, to just go through those kind of this after action review type of questions?
Absolutely, that would. And I'm glad you explained where it came from, because as I was saying, Paul is not from the US, and some terms can be like, okay, what is that? Let's get back into history because hashtag history matters. So I appreciate that also. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
and you
you.
can find more about that if you're interested in finding more, if you just do a search or something on after action review, you'll have volumes. And I would encourage you to read the US Army version just so you can get a sense of where it originated from. So the questions are, if you're looking at your goals and looking back over the quarter, looking back, what was supposed to happen? Do you feel happy with your progress over the last quarter or the first 6 months of the year? What did you set out to do? What were you aiming at? What was your aspiration? So what did you set out to do? So that's just merely reviewing your goal. Okay, I set this goal. I wanted to update my website by the end of May. As an example, might be what they did. And then what actually happened. So number 1 is, what did you set out to do? And then you step back and say, okay, I set out to do this. What actually happened? And spend some time thinking about that. Well, I either accomplished it or, I only got it halfway done. Or I completed a first draft and I'm really not happy with it. Or you know what? I'm this close. I'm 80%. I'm stuck in the messy middle. What do I need to do to get this across the finish line? So what did you set out to do is 1. What actually happened is 2. The third thing is to explore, well, why did that happen? Did I run into an obstacle? Did I get distracted by something else? Did I just drop the ball?
or
Is
maybe
this
or maybe something big happened and it's like, why did that something big happen also?
it could be, it doesn't have to be this. Yes, this is an after action review, both successes.
Yeah.
So thank you for that point. It's also celebrating our successes because we learn, what we set out to do it, we did it, what worked. Um, so that's an excellent point. And then why did it happen? Was it an obstacle? Was it another question is this goal still relevant to what I'm aiming at?
Mm.
We should always be growing, and our purpose and ambitions change. And sometimes um, people keep things on their goal list that are no longer really moving their life forward. And there's a quote, and I think the gentleman's name is Robert Galt,
Mm-hmm.
might be Brault, uh, and it it poses that we are not kept from our goals by the obstacles we encounter, but rather by having a clearer path to a lesser goal. Having a clear path to a lesser goal. That's why it's important to still say, hey, is this still relevant to my stage of life, to my stage of the business? Because sometimes we continue to hang on to goals that really aren't moving us forward. Certainly, there's a theory, the 80-20 principle, that 20% of our efforts get us 80% of our ambitions. So,
Mm-hmm.
why did it happen? Is where we're at. And then, what are we going to do next time? Is the fourth question in the original set of four. So, I'll just repeat those again. What did we set out to do? What actually happened?
Mm-hmm.
Why did it happen that way? And what are we going to do about it? And that might be, well, this goal is no longer meaningful to us. I'm just going to drop it. I'm not going to continue to do, or it should something that should be delegated. You know what? I've got this 80% of the way there. The last thing is editing, and that's not my strength. So where's my who? Who can I give this to finish? If you were working on a piece of marketing collateral, maybe you've got the concept down, but the words that work, the final words that work, and shortening the message isn't your area of expertise. So turn that over. What does it take to get this thing across the finish line?
That's great. And I like as I said, this can be used for the successes and also for what's not working. Both. For both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Other
And and
versions. Go
and
ahead.
no, I was going to say, even when we have the success, it's not because it's just flowing smoothly that we are not gonna look back and see what happened for us to get there, and how can we either enhance or even make a slightly chance to keep on making it continue a continued success. So it's always good to look back. And these four questions, they really give like a points, starting points for that. You were going to say something else.
Well, yes, it's a framework. And some additional questions that I've seen added is this is a little bit of a repeat. What worked, what didn't, and why? And then there's another stop, start, continue that you might go through. Well, what do you need to stop doing? What do you need to start doing to move this goal forward? So stop, start, continue. And what are you willing to change?
Mm.
If the lessons are repeated until they're learned, well, what are we willing to change to learn the lesson and apply the lesson so that we don't keep running into the same obstacle, the same thing, or chasing a lesser goal, something
Yeah,
that's just not moving us forward?
and I would say whenever we go into these questions, they might sound simple. They are not. They take you to a deeper level of looking at from all the perspectives. And I would invite whoever is taking these four questions to this deeper level, whenever starting it, be like, ground yourself, take a deep breath before doing that. Not just, yes, okay, let me see. Yeah, this didn't work because of no, wait a minute.
Well, Polly, I
Come.
can share a couple of examples of where an after action review has helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be helpful?
Oh,
My
absolutely.
lessons learned. So I'll give you two. One had to do with nutrition and fitness. So probably all of 24, maybe even the last half of 23 and all of 24, I had this ambition, this aim, this goal to get down to closer to what used to be my running and cycling weight, which for me was a loss of about 14 pounds. And I did cleanses, I did things, and my progress was a big goose
Serious.
egg.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I knew that a big part of that was my nutrition and movement. So when I took that goal and said, okay, instead of setting it and framing it as I want to lose 14 pounds by this date, it had the characteristics of a goal. It was specific, measurable, and time dimension. I stepped back and I turned it into a habit goal, meaning what are the habits I would need to adopt in order to do that? And the two habits were walk 7,500 steps a day at a minimum. And I
Okay.
absolutely changed I did an audit of what I was consuming, and it was a lot of sugar. It was a lot of, well, I'm going to eat at 5 o'clock. I'm going to eat these two ho-hos to hold me over till then.
Mm-hmm.
And without getting into the whole nutrition item, I adopted the principles from the book, The Glucose Revolution. It's can't pronounce the author's name, but it was really insightful. It just changes the
Okay.
order that you eat food, and it really gave me that aha moment that, hey, when I'm eating this sugar, I'm causing these glucose spikes, which not only are not good for me, but they give you the hangries throughout the day. So it's just a cycle of perpetual snacking and not eating. But my point of that is not about me. It's about by changing that, and for our listeners, should it still be an achievement goal, or perhaps it's something really important to you, you've just been stuck on it? Are there one or two habits? Change it to a habit goal and actually keep track of, and maybe use Michael Bungay Stainer, I think is his last name. He has a format for habit goals of when I feel the hangries, instead of opening the pantry or the refrigerator, I will drink 6 ounces of water. It's a great framework. It's a 3-step framework to think through to start building that habit. And it's when I instead of I will. And that was incredibly helpful because I was just, because what was I doing? I was heading for the pantry, heading for the other. And I did that. So the point is, and after that's an example of an after action review. Had I not, I kept it on there obviously for 4, 5, 6 quarters with
Mm-hmm.
zero progress. And until I really learned the lesson and took it to heart, no progress was made. And just so you know, I've hit that goal and I maintained that for the last quarter just
Awesome.
by the continuing to move. The habit is those two habits are basically installed now.
And that's one of the things. You didn't just you looked back what was working, what was not working. You paused to look back, and you really chose another path. And by that choice, you made that become a habit of yours.
Yeah. And it was kind of that stop, start, continue exercise. Polly,
Exactly, exactly.
do you have anything recently where you've made a pivot or dropped a goal? We haven't talked about that. Sometimes, and remember that quote, we're not kept from our goals by the obstacles in our path in the way, but by having a clearer path to a lesser goal. Have you ever experienced some lesser goals that you needed to drop or defer in order to make significant progress toward a meaningful goal? Has
I
anything
would
come up
say,
for you?
I would say, like for me, many things happen on the go, but then it's like there are choices even on the go, and even like there is this course or this course, or do I bring this course now or do I bring this course now? Maybe sometimes it's like I have a month to think, to organize, to do it, but it's a choice. And when I'm looking, it's like, okay, this worked in the past. This is not working. I'm going with that. And it's just on the go. It's not even looking back that further back. And one thing, when I look back for the success, for one of the courses I launched recently, looking back is like having more people involved in the design and in the facilitation. And it's like, yes, that's what I want to do more of. It's not me by being by myself, but really having a team working along. And really, it's not a team that shows up just one day, but or it's like following through and going through the process from beginning to end. This is really, and it's looking back right now, just thinking of one of the things. It's like
Yes.
teamwork. Yes, I want more of that.
Well, you just brought something else that might be helpful to our listeners. And as you probably know, I followed Dr. Benjamin Hardy for quite a while. He's had a significant impact on my life, as well as a couple other people. And one of the things I learned from him is this little three-step thing is our identity, who we identify as, I am this,
Hmm.
is real. We can say I could say I'm fit and in shape, or whatever, it doesn't matter what you're picking. However, our identity is really evidenced. Our identity is what we're most committed to, and what we're most committed to is evidenced by our results. So if we're trying
Yes.
to say I'm on my way to becoming a professional facilitator, or I am on my way to becoming a business coach, or I am on my way to becoming a 10 handicap in golf, whatever it is. Well, do your commitments show that? How many times do you have a golf club in your hand in the summer? Was
I
once a
love
week
that.
is once a week going to do it, or does it need to be so? Am I really committed to the result I'm trying to achieve, and do the results support that commitment? And it's a great way to reverse engineer and say, well, I'm holding myself out to be a business coach. However, am I really doing the things? Am I committed to taking the trainings? Am I committed to making the calls? Am I committed to doing some keynote talks? What are the actions I'm taking? Am I committed to them? And what are the results I'm getting?
Hmm.
So that's another framework to bring into this concept of an after action review. Look at the results you achieve,
I
celebrate your
think
wins, but also
exactly.
look at, hey, am I producing some results that are not helpful to my big aim?
I heard a podcast this week. It was one of my favorite podcasts, Think Fast, Talk Smarter with Matt Abrahams, and they were talking about disrupt and how it really is like we needed to look at ourselves, and sometimes the let go is the disruptive part of it. It creates we are not in our comfort zone, and once again, as Adam Grant says, this is how we grow. And it's by looking back what worked, what did not work, with all these frameworks and questioning, that we can move forward and really observing, really making the choices. If even if you on the go make the choice, yes, make them, and then you look back and say, yeah, that worked. Maybe I it's a tiny experiment. I can go back and redo something, do something different, add something extra. It's like a baking a cake. If you have not, kind of try different flavors. If it didn't work, just go back to the original recipe,
Uh,
and you will have a lot a repertoire. Is that how we pronounce it?
yeah.
Of other ingredients, also, because
Well,
we are not the same when we go back.
that recipe is a good concept, because that's another thing from the after action review. When you go through what worked, what didn't, you know, you can take notes of that and build your own recipe for success. These are like, for in my case, for that fitness goal, the recipe is, well, how many other goals do I have out there that I'm not making progress on, that I need to break down into habits, one or two key habits that would gain momentum?
Hmm.
So what's my recipe for success? Oh, if the achievement goal is not working, how do I break it into a habit goal? And let's finish up with letting go.
Oh
If
yeah.
we really want to accomplish something meaningful in our lives that's a stretch. And one of my favorite definitions of a stretch goal, you'll hear it called an impossible goal. I prefer stretch goal is it's something that would really make a significant difference in your life or the lives of others or the people you're trying to help. And it's also something that you currently don't know exactly how you're going to do it. And you may not even have the capabilities or resources to do it. And to
Yeah.
accomplish those, we really have to let go. To really accomplish that, we have to let go of almost 80% of what we're currently doing
I
and
have a
focus.
huge
You've got to bring
example.
80% of stuff needs to be new. If it's just
Yes.
a nominal goal, we can keep doing 80% of what we're doing and make that little 20% incremental progress every time. But if we really want to aim for one thing in a short timeline, we've got to let go. So, what are we willing to let go of? Let's just finish with that question. As we
I would
approach and
and
complete
now
our after action review, what do I need to let go of in order to really make significant progress towards that one or two of my most meaningful goals that would make the most significant impact on my life and the lives of others in the next quarter, next 6 months? What do I need to let go of?
I'm just gonna add here that sometimes this let go of, it doesn't happen overnight, but when you were looking at what you're doing, what you needed to let go, you go on substituting till it is gone. Other things, yes, they happen overnight. Why am I saying this? I remember last year at the summit, exchange summit, one of the people I met in the first year looked at me, but aren't you an English teacher? Aren't you working with that? And I'm like, I worked 1 year through it to let go of the title of being an English teacher and expanding my horizons with other teachings like conscious leadership.
Mhm.
So it did take some time, but it was a smooth, not with pressure, and it was a choice. So think about it too. Doesn't have to be just like that. I want to, and you close the door. Sometimes you needed to leave the door ajar till you fully close it
Yeah, that
to
letting
to
go,
find others.
that
Yes.
letting go is tough because in a personal example, some of that is really it's tough because you're letting go of an identity that's no longer serving you. So I just
Yeah.
finished in the end of 23, 43 or 44 years as a certified public accountant, and I had developed a pretty good um, toolkit or bag of tools to help in that arena. And I'm totally going to redo my website in this quarter because if you were to go to that now, it really resembles that of my identity as a financial not financial in terms of investment, but as a business advisor to closely held businesses and not as a professional facilitator,
There you
someone that
go.
helps transform, gathering, and unlock the collective wisdom of the room, which is the subject of another conversation. So I'm not making the progress I'd like because I'm not really letting go of that toolkit. While I could still do that, a lot of people can do that. I want to move to the things that there's fewer of us doing, and it's a new passion, something I know that really moves organizations forward. So I'm just sharing that because it's really tough to let go a 43-year identity and
Oh,
say, yes, I
I
did
didn't
that.
I didn't get it to 43. In teaching English, I started when I was 16 in
Hmm.
1996. So whoever is listening to us, do the math. Almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Almost
So
30
did
years
you
of
find that helpful then? And that was a great question someone asked you. So what might you have done to kind of uh, be recognized more or take that? Yes, I was an English teacher, but here's where I'm moving towards now. I'm using that as a base to do this.
all I
How
did
hard
is
was that for you to
yeah,
do?
it took me basically a year
Hmm.
to let go. That's why I mentioned It's not overnight. Some of the Legos do not happen overnight.
Mhm.
And many
And
people
it's
come now, and people come to me, still come to me. Are you teaching English? I am not teaching English nowadays.
yeah.
I am teaching. There is a whole different scope on conscious leadership. I still have some languages classes, but Portuguese to non-native speakers, but not English. And
Mhm.
it is kind of it's a different path that I have chosen. And I am in a different moment of my life with this passion that is bringing more questions into the world, more connections with meaningful conversations like we do here.
Yeah. Well, we just brought this full circle, kind of shared some of our experiences. The point of today's episode is really to introduce several questions on this after action review. Lessons are repeated until they're learned. What have I learned? What am I willing to do differently? What do I need to change? What do I need to let go of? And maybe the big last question is, if I'm aiming for this, do my actions, if I'm holding myself out to be, pick any topic, a business coach, I'm holding myself out to be uh, a speaking coach. Do my actions provide enough evidence? If I was on trial accused of being a business coach, is there enough evidence to convict me?
Mm,
How's that for the final after
mm,
action review question? Do my actions really support what I'm aiming at? My identity? Well, and remember, identity is what we're most committed to, and what we're most committed to is based on our actions and our results. So don't get trapped in that cycle. Am I really doing the things I need to be doing in order in order to hit that aim?
yeah. Oh, Steve, as usual, great conversation, great questions, great conversation. I hope our listeners feel inspired in pausing for a moment and thinking, looking back with these questions, and then look ahead, thinking of what let go is for each one of them, which is different, and
And
aiming for the best
and,
and
and as you look at your
celebrating.
aspirations for the next quarter, the next year, what are the one or two that if you let go of the other six and you accomplish those would have a significant impact
Impact.
on your life and the
Yes.
lives of others and those you're trying to serve? So, with that, Polly, this has been another episode of Questions and Conversations on Leadership and Life. And I'm Steve.
And I'm Polly. I'll see you next. Steve,
Okay.
your sentence.
And make it a great day.
Go for it. Bye, everyone. Bye, Steve.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us in this honest and reflective conversation. If something resonated with you, take a pause, write it down, or share it with someone close. We'd love to know what stood out for you today. What question are you carrying forward? And what's one small step you were inspired to take after listening to us? Remember to subscribe so you never miss a conversation, leave us a rating or a review, and share this with someone who might appreciate it. Until next time, keep showing up with intention, curiosity, and heart. Questions and Conversations on Leadership and Life is produced by me, Polly Bellin Wilson, with music by freetouse.com.